Okay, happy Labor Day and welcome to week 3. So this is the best week of the whole class, I think. Well, there'll be some other good parts coming up, but this is one of my favorites. So this week you're going to read chapter 2, the Constitution and its origins. Then you're going to read the Articles of Confederation. Have you heard of those before? That was the governing document after we declared our independence from Great Britain. It was the governing document. The problem was, so we had just declared independence from a monarchy. We did not want any one person, any one state to have too much power. And so that paranoia led to the Articles of Confederation, which was a disaster. It was like herding cats. The strong states wanted to do whatever the heck they wanted. They did not care about benefiting the weaker states, the smaller states. Humans, by their nature, we are selfish. And so everybody just had their own best interest at heart, not the country as a whole. So I want you to read the Articles of Confederation. It's linked in the assignment. Then you're going to read Federalist number 21. The Federalist Papers are essays that were written by John Jay, Alexander Hamilton, and James Madison. James Madison is the father of our Constitution. John Jay was the first Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court. Alexander Hamilton is a genius. His personal life is a mess, so that's probably why he was never president, and he was not born here. But he's a genius. So these three great minds wrote the Federalist Papers. You're just going to read one essay, Federalist 21. In it, Alexander Hamilton lays out what was wrong with, well, not all, but a lot of what was wrong with the Articles of Confederation and what's right in the Constitution, because you're also going to read the Constitution. You don't need to read the amendments. We'll get to those in the civil liberties assignment. But right now you just need to read the Constitution. There's 7 articles. Read them and the preamble. And you're going to examine what are at least 5 differences between the Articles of Confederation and the Constitution. The Articles of Confederation, all of these are short. They seem ominous because they are governing documents. The Constitution is an amazing governing document that's governed for more than 200 years. Originally, we were dubbed an experiment, and here we are, 200 years into the experiment and more, and thriving. So it's really interesting. So you're going to take these documents. You're going to list at least 5 similarities between the Articles of Confederation and the Constitution. Then you're going to list at least 5 differences between the Articles of Confederation and the Constitution. When you do this, I want you to cite specifically what Article 3, Article 1, section whatever. I want you to cite specifically where these similarities and differences are found in both documents. Then the preamble to the Constitution, it lays out the 6 aims of the Constitution. What are they? List them. Then you're going to do a little research. You're going to find at least one current news article, and you're going to take a position. Is governing happening today the way the Constitution was written in 1787 for it to happen? Then you're going to look at Federalist 21. What does it say about the deficiencies in the Articles of Confederation? The Federalist Papers were originally written anonymously under the pen name Publius. It was an effort to get the Constitution ratified. So we declare our independence 1776. Then we have this Articles of Confederation governing. It's a disaster. So in 1787, delegates were dispatched to Philadelphia with the purpose of amending the Articles of Confederation. For example, our neighbor to the south, Mexico, its constitution has been amended hundreds of times. And our constitution has been amended 27 times. And I think less is more and less is clearer. So had they amended the Articles of Confederation, we very likely could never have had a successful experiment. Maybe we would have. But they said, hey, this is junk. We've been studying, and here's what we think will work best. So that's why they wrote the Federalist Papers. They were published in newspapers across the different states, trying to garner support for ratifying the Constitution. And this is an aside, but something I want you to be thinking about. Many states would not ratify the Constitution without the promise of a Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights does not get added to the Constitution. That's the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. It does not get added until 1791. Can you think of an instance today where something of that magnitude is just believed on a promise and a handshake? It would never happen. There would have to be contracts. There would have to be lawyers. There would have to be public signings. There would have to be all of these systems of accountability. But in the 1700s, the late 1700s, it was a promise. That's a tremendous amount of integrity that everybody just expected. Would you see that today? Be thinking of that as you study this stuff. The integrity that is involved is tremendous. Okay, then also you're looking at what deficiencies that were noted in the Federalist 21 essay. Where are they corrected in the Constitution? You're going to provide the articles, the sections, etc. All right, and then there's extra credit. We had a president. If you look at the Articles of Confederation, and of course you will look at it because you're going to read it, and again, it's not long, but the first article, Article 1, the style of this confederacy shall be the United States of America. The Articles of Confederation formally formed the United States of America, and we had a first president, and his name is not George Washington. So there's extra credit opportunity at the end. Tell me, who is the first president of the United States? You can get extra credit. Okay, also coming up, we have the census date. So that means if you have not participated in a meaningful way in the class by September 3rd, you'll be automatically dropped. There's all sorts of financial aid considerations that go into that. It's a blessing for students who have not yet participated. How do you participate meaningfully? Turn in an assignment. All of the week 1 assignments have been graded. If you have a 0, turn it in. You can still turn it in for a full credit opportunity. If you're stumped and you don't know where to start, reach out to me. We'll come up with a plan. So that is it for week 3. Welcome. It is so awesome. I hope you enjoy it. Have a dictionary handy. Some of these words are big. I have to use a dictionary when I read these essays in the Federalist Papers. I have to use a dictionary when I read the Constitution and the Articles of Confederation. Have a dictionary handy. It does not do you any good to read a series of words and not know what they mean. When you are looking these words up, say you go online to look them up, if they have an archaic definition, that's the one you're after. That's an older definition. If you don't know what archaic means, look that up. But especially if you go to the Merriam-Webster dictionary to look up some of these words, you're going to see archaic definition. That's what you're after. That's going to help you get to the meat and potatoes of the meaning of these important documents that are still very much alive and governing today. All right, reach out with questions and have a great week.